Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second podcast thingy. Yeah, I decided I want to do this. Just not feeling great, but I want to talk about this. Has been on my mind quite a lot recently. That being the Ukrainian situation. And specifically a lot of the stuff just going on foreign policy wise. That's interesting. So the general overview for today's episode thingy is we're going to talk about the Afghanistan. Then we're going to talk about Ukraine. And then Ukraine will go into more detail about some more points I have. So, first let's start with Afghanistan. Afghanistan was a disaster, and conservatives said at the time that I'm not feeling great. I feel absolutely terrible. I do not know what I have. I feel horrible. I have fever of over 100. I'm sorry. Um, anyway, back to Afghanistan. Afghanistan was, mostly regarded as a disaster for Biden, but I want to talk more than that. It's interesting to me how Biden was more in line with conservatives than he was in line with liberals. And I don't know if you find this interesting, but I find it absolutely fascinating. I think he was aiming for a political win. He was aiming for a big political win. He didn't get that. He was hoping he'd get the win from conservatives, and conservatives like, wow, yeah, actually he did what he said he was going to get. He said he was going to get us out of Afghanistan. Trump said he was going to get us out of Afghanistan. He didn't. But my opinion isn't that getting out of Afghanistan, we should have never left Afghanistan in the first place. People say it was done wrong. Terrible point. The Taliban still have taken over if we left. So it's just a matter of maybe we would have less troops and we would have lost Americans. But that's not the point. The point is there's so many women, children who we pretend to care about. Liberals, and this is the thing that gets me about liberals. Liberals will say, oh, women's rights, women's whatever. But, we actually have people being oppressed, almost likening to Nazi Germany in Afghanistan. And not a peep from the liberals. Not a peep. Look at the Biden situation when it comes to the Uyghurs in China. Not a peep came out from liberals. Conservatives, of course, were very, took advantage of that point to attack Biden. But it just annoys me how we pretend to care, and the people in the liberals will say we got to clean up our own house first, and that there's some grain of truth to that. But at the same time, should we not help others? How maybe how can we clean up our own house? And we refer to it as the country as our own house, but the country is people. Should we clean ourselves up as individuals first? Maybe so, but we should always seek to help other people. Um, I think it's very. I'm a Christian. I don't know what you people are, but I personally consider myself a Christian, non-denominational. Um, it's about loving other people, and it's about all these things. It's about having compassion. It's about being like Jesus. And it seems sad that we don't see that as much today, and we see people very selfish, self-absorbed. And I'm a very self-absorbed person as well. I can be a terrible person talking about myself. So if you talk with me, I can be very annoying to talk with. I clarify. But it's just very, saddening to see the lack of care for the women, children, the men who are being Christians, minority groups in Afghanistan being brought out of their homes and hung from helicopters. Seriously. And no one cares. No one has a peep. No, we only have peeps in election years. What is this? And this is I pushed for a long time. Politics needs to be not taught in education, but we should understand very much how our culture and all these things work. I go to a classical Christian private school. I'm in 10th grade, if you're wondering. And it's interesting. They don't care about what's going on in the world. They're like, well, it's the way they speak like, oh, the March for Life rally. A couple of my teachers' friends went, but they don't talk about politics at all. And they even say politics. I don't want to get too political because March for Life is political. I hate to break it to you. It is a very political thing. You're not going to see very many liberals being like, oh, the March for Life, I just love it. You might find some classical liberals, maybe, but you're not going to find mainstream liberals. But this leads us to my next point, and that's the Ukraine situation. And of course, we've been talking about how liberals and conservatives agree on more than they think. And specifically being that the fear of conflict. They fear conflict foreign policy-wise. But why do we have the largest military budget on the planet Earth, one of the largest militaries on Earth, yet we refuse to use it in a meaningful manner? What's with that? I don't know. I don't know. It is sad. It is very, very sad that we just have all this stuff. We refuse to use it in a meaningful manner to help others. I'm very sorry that I'm, choking over here. But this is important to me to talk to you about this, because it's been affecting, it's saddening to me. And I'm trying to talk about things that are important to me in this, podcasting. And so I'm not going to do podcasts all the time, just because some things just don't matter to me. But when it's important to me, this is usually going to be political. So if you don't like I hope you like it. Anyway, I probably need to get back to the topic, and that being Ukraine. They fear conflict. This sparked with the Vietnam conflict, where we fear conflict. But because we left Vietnam, Richard Nixon and all those people, it's funny how people love Reagan and say great for America. He sold us out down the water to the Chinese. And I don't hate Reagan on social issues, but I really do despise him on economics. He drove up the debt more than a lot of other presidents. Interesting enough, Bill Clinton was one of the few presidents in the 20th century, maybe the only one, to actually, besides the early parts, to actually have a balanced budget and lower the debt. Interestingly enough, Democrats lower the debt because they don't cut taxes. And that'll be another episode where we talk about domestic things like taxes, issues like that. I really do want to talk about some economic issues, and those are important too. So I think that'll be not the next episode. The next episode we'll be speaking on. I want to talk about. I have a plan. I'm going to have more of a plan for this, so I don't lose my thoughts. I want to talk about more about the selfishness of our culture. We're talking about this in this episode a little bit, but certainly not enough. Certainly not enough. So it's detrimental to the health of our country that we are just allowing us to be walked on by foreign powers like China, Russia, and I on this channel I didn't say it, but I remember during the Afghanistan crisis, I'm very sorry, that we would have a Ukraine situation. We're going to have a Taiwan situation. Believe me, if the Russians do choose to invade Ukraine and there is a lack of response to Americans, and I mean military force, I seriously doubt that the Chinese will not invade. I think the Chinese are already planning invasion of Taiwan. But did you know, interestingly enough, we actually have military treaties to defend Taiwan, which is interesting, even though we don't recognize them as a country. So we'll lose even more national prestige. But an interesting thing about national prestige and money. So if you have a lot of money, you have national prestige. If you have a lot of national prestige, you'll usually have a lot of money. Well, for the United States, we're $29 trillion in the hole. So we don't have all that much money. So we're relying on our national prestige to get by. And we can already see the economy is slowing down. And a lot of hedge fund managers, a lot of people are predicting, even in my family who've lived through a lot of crises, predicting my grandparents are saying we're going to see a bubble and it's going to pop. We see a bubble and it's going to pop. And I don't doubt that for a second. I think this year we will see the stock market possibly take a bit of a fall, maybe not as much as 2020, maybe more than 2020. We'll see. I think we're going to see a big bubble pop in 2022, though, this year. So we'll be on the lookout for that. We'll see if I'm right at the end of the year. But I think we'll see at least a small stock market slow down. We've already seen that, actually, this year. But it's detrimental to the health of our country because of domino theory, which is a theory, practiced in the Cold War, early in the Cold War and made about to the 80s. saying that if one communist, or no, if one country fell to communism, the rest would fall. And frankly, you know, that maybe wasn't true, but at least what the part of it that is true is our influence wanes in countries, and other countries take over the influence. They may not flip to another ideology, as Hoyfor would say, but we will see clearly that we're losing a lot of influence in a lot of nations. India, we're good friends with, and I think we have quadruple alliance or not. It's interesting. I read about this a while ago. I don't have the stuff here with me, but we're losing a lot of influence in Asia. And once we lose influence in Asia, um, the Chinese take over there. I mean, I only hope for America is India competes with the Chinese and drives the Chinese out a lot, because the Indians are a lot better people. Not better people, but more friendly. The people of China aren't probably as friendly as the Indians are more friendly to the Western world than China is and the Chinese people. So um, that's that. Um, so I just fear that and I said Afghanistan once. If we let Afghanistan fall, they're going to go into Ukraine, and that's exactly what's been shown to happen. Or we can see another example: Hitler, as we see in Hearts of Iron 4, he kept pushing until World War. And they could have stopped Hitler very early on, back in 36 or even before then, when he was demanding things, or, could have prevented the Anschluss. So, could have prevented a lot of casualties. So we're kicking the can down the road, and that's a problem to me. I don't want to keep kicking the can down the road. It's not good. But as we end this episode, I want to end it with this quote by Martin Niemöller. I'm not German. Well, I kind of am. I'm German. I have a German last name, at least. Anyway, he was pastor, served in the First World War, and he was initially very supportive of Hitler, but he was not very supportive of some of his policies. But this is a quote by him, and eventually he came very strongly. He was pacifist near the end. Martin Niemöller, a really great man. Did a little bit of research on him. Seems like a wonderful man. But here's a quote by him. This is, you can see something like Holocaust memorials too, and I think it relates very much to the situation we're living in now. First they came for the communist, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for a trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I think that relates very much to our situation now, and that is why I find it of the utmost importance to speak out for the little guy and those who we need to protect abroad. I love you all, and if you like this, please leave a comment, like, subscribe. I really do appreciate that very, very much, and it does help the channel a lot. And I mean a lot. And it makes me happy. It makes me a very, very happy person. So if you're watching this, you're not subscribed, or you are subscribed, and you want to, I would leave a comment, leave a like. Helps the channel out, helps us grow, or helps it grow. It makes me a very happy person. I feel we can get the message out to more people about these kinds of things the more the channel grows. And this isn't the main part of the channel, of course, but I hope I'm trying to push out more content recently, and I hope we've seen that, or I'm trying to do more. I don't know if you guys like the shorts, but I like doing the shorts. They're kind of easy to do, especially when I'm really tired or I'm not feeling well after a long school day. I can just put a short out. I really appreciate you guys leaving likes there and commenting once in a while. Love you all, though. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.